A verdict could come as soon as today in the Harvey Weinstein sex crimes retrial. The 73-year-old charged with attacking 3 women in Manhattan between the years 2006 and 2013. Now, we're expecting jury deliberations to begin at some point this morning. Joining us now is legal analyst Richard Schoenstein to talk a little bit more about this and break down the current charges. Let's do that first. Let's just break down the long-term fallout here from these charges, Richard.
Okay, great. I don't know about the long-term fallout. You know, this is part of a movement that began with Harvey Weinstein's first trial, really, and it's gone a long way since then. And like most movements, it hasn't been a straight line. So this is going to be another event in that movement, and we'll see what the jury comes back with and what people think it means.
The first trial, the jury deliberated for about 30 hours over the course of 5 days. You expecting it to be a quicker go-around this time around, or you expect them to take that same kind of more of a deliberate amount of time to really kind of survey all of the facts presented before them over this trial?
Well, I'll give you the lawyerly answer of you never know, but I think this trial is a little bit more condensed because some of the evidence from the first trial about other alleged victims wasn't introduced in this version, and that's because the appellate court ruled that evidence had been improperly admitted the first time around. So this trial is a little bit tighter in terms of the evidence that's presented, and you would think the jury could get to a verdict a little bit quicker. But of course, it depends what happens in that jury room. Do they have fundamental agreement at the start of deliberations, or are there people widely apart as they begin to talk about it?
If you were a betting man, maybe not today, possibly tomorrow, get it done before the weekend type thing?
Yeah, I wouldn't bet on today, but you're exactly right about the weekend. I mean, if they are close to a verdict, they're going to try to get it done on Friday so they can be done with this case by the end of the week.
Not to make light of it, but isn't that terrible if your life is hanging in the balance and you always have to think, oh, the jury probably wants to get this done before the weekend. All right, so if he is found guilty, what kind of sentencing this time around do you think Weinstein would face?
My understanding is that the maximum sentence on these charges combined is about 29 years. And depending on what he's found guilty on and the parameters, it could be less than that. But if he's found guilty on any of these charges, it's going to be a significant jail term.
How does this, I guess, relate to the charges that he's already been facing in Los Angeles and the prison time he's been sentenced to there?
Well, he's got a 16-year prison term in California. That's going to continue no matter the outcome of the New York trial. So he's in jail for a long time, no matter what happens. Even if he gets an acquittal here, he's in jail a long time because of California. If he's convicted of these charges, I would expect that any sentence would run concurrently. I don't think they would say wait for the 16 years and then pile on another 29. I'm not even sure they can do that. So it would simply lengthen the potential term because obviously 29 is more than 16.
Not that there's a lot of sympathy out there for Harvey Weinstein, but does his age and his health factor into a judge's decision here?
Yeah, it could. His age and his health could, although I don't know. I mean, I think if he's convicted by a jury, a judge is going to have to impose a pretty significant penalty. And I think given Harvey Weinstein's age and health, he already essentially has a life verdict.
All right, so he's here on a retrial. Obviously, the first go-around didn't go as well as the victims in the case would have liked because they're back, obviously, in court now retrying this case. What are your thoughts? If again, I ask your opinion on this, does he get acquitted or does he get convicted here?
So I'm very interested in the outcome. If you made me bet, I would say I think he's going to be convicted of at least some of the charges. One of the things that fascinated me about closing arguments was the defense this time around. And his defense team, they are great lawyers, make no mistake about it. They're some of the best lawyers in New York City. Arthur Adella and his team, they are fantastic. They were very aggressive about victim shaming. They were very aggressive about saying, remarkably, that Harvey Weinstein is the victim here, and these accusers are somehow trying to take advantage of a situation. And I think they were much more aggressive than they would have been 5 years ago with that argument. And I think that is a reflection of the times and how we've kind of backtracked a little bit in the Me Too movement. So I'm interested to see whether or not that works with the jury. I expect him to be convicted, possibly a hung jury. I would be surprised if there's a complete 12-person unanimous acquittal. I'd be really surprised about that.
We shall wait and see. It is going to be fascinating, of course. Richard, thank you very much. We appreciate you taking the time for us.
My pleasure. Good to see you.